Okay, welcome to Network for New Music, interviews with composers and collaborators in support of our upcoming event on Valentine's Day called Love Stories, where we combine spoken word element with electroacoustic music. And today we have BL Shirelle and Leila Adu-Gilmore. So welcome, both of you.
Hello, hello. How you doing?
Yeah,
Excellent.
thanks for having us, Thomas.
Thank you both. I'd like to start with just if you could briefly introduce yourself. So, Leila, could you start with you today, please?
My name's Leila Adu-Gilmore. I'm from New Zealand, by way of London and also Ghana, and I have lived in the States for on and off for the past decade. I did my PhD at Princeton, and right now I teach in the music technology program at Steinhardt. I'm assistant professor of music technology, but I'm a composer theorist and composer performer with a lot of recording in my background. Yeah.
Excellent, outstanding. How about BL? Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. My name is BL Shirelle. I'm just from Philly, guys. Really boring. Um, I am deputy director of Adu-Gilmore Records, which is the first nonprofit record label in the United States for currently and formerly incarcerated musicians. I'm also a returning citizen myself who served 10 years in the penal system. And yeah, I'm an artist and songwriter.
Excellent. And
Famous rapper. You should say that you're.
Oh yeah,
You
and
should
I'm
say
I'm the
that
best
BL's a
rapper
famous
alive
rapper.
too. I'm the best rapper alive, but that's beside the point.
well, BL, you brought up something that is really integral to this project, which is really about people of Germantown. And I live in Germantown as well. And in the past, we had a nice collaboration with the Coleman Library, which is my library. So we tried to renew that contact. This was originally supposed to happen in the Coleman Library, but with COVID, we had to transpose this and move it into the digital realm. So thank you for that emphasis, BL. So that certainly gives it a nice local flavor to it, which is
Yes, yes. I am from Shelton Avenue, so I'm from the Somerville area, uptown area of Germantown. Born and raised.
excellent. Could we start with like how do you two know each other? How did you start to work together?
Yeah, so I'm a board director, one of the board directors at Diagem Crow, and I'm aware of BL's career because she just had an EP coming out, and she's had a lot of international press, The Guardian and LA Times and Philadelphia Inquirer. Is that what it's called?
Inquirer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of these magazines, because I'm aware of the news coming out, I saw that BL was from Germantown, and you guys had just asked me to do this love stories project, and that you're recording stories, and I thought, wait a minute, I know someone from who's from Germantown, and I'm from New Zealand, so I really could get to know a lot more about this project if I get to know someone who is from Germantown. So I rang up BL. I was like, could you be interested? And you guys were super open and flexible about this and check stuff. And so thank you for allowing me to work with BL on this, because it's really important for me to work to kind of understand more about it not being from this country even. Although I love Philly and have visited a bunch of times. And the other thing is that I'm a composer and I teach global electronic music and advanced computer music composition. I'm really interested in sort of smashing down boundaries between who we think of as composers. And that could be composer producers and different kinds of music creators out there. So it was really important to me to sort of split this commission and work and bring in BL as a composer too, so that she could have a musical voice as well as a storytelling voice. So yeah, BL, yeah, but the story is really BL. So BL will tell you about the inspiration.
Well, I mean, Layla just was like, "Hey, you didn't tell me you from Germantown." I'm like, "Layla, you're from New Zealand. Why would I tell you that?" And then
BL, before you tell us about the inspiration, could you bring us back to that moment when you got the call? When you got the
yeah, that was literally the moment. She was like, "Oh, you didn't tell me you're from Germantown," and I'm like, "Why would I have told you that? You're not even like from here." So we had like a little chuckle there, and then she explained to me what the project was about, and I was like really intrigued and inspired because this is a sound that I'm journeying into versus being. A lot of times I'm placed in like a leadership role in in the genres that I frequent. So now I'm kind of like a visitor to another culture, which is like a different um experience for me. So I was definitely, intrigued by the whole experience. I was like, yeah, for sure. We can like, you know, I'm down. I was excited about it.
Well, I love your metaphor of a journey because everyone's on this journey, and we're so. It's great to be able to have this journey together. Could you tell us just a little bit in as your working process, that idea of inspiration? How did you start putting together the ideas for this?
So my first thought was, going back to my neighborhood and the people that I would or wouldn't see when I got there. So that was the first thought. My neighborhood is completely different, So because of that, I was like, wow, it's not a lot of things that was going on when I was growing up that's still going on. And I was trying to find a way to maybe I guess probably shy away from that in the beginning, but then that turned into the actual um center of the piece because, it's about, your love for this particular geographical area. So, I had to be very honest about, where it was and where it has been and where it is, presently. And it kind of became its own truth, on its own versus me trying to tell us or fit a narrative around where I'm from.
Hmm. And tell me a little bit more about how you two work together, creating the piece. Tell me a little bit about the process.
Yeah, so when I had that phone call with Biel to say, hey, I was walking down Broadway in New York City. I live in New York City. I teach at NYU, and there's a pandemic. So I was like, even more difficult to sort of understand this geographic place. And one of my great friends, and he's also a fellow composer on this project, Quinn Collins, who is a Princeton alum and really a great buddy of mine. We're in a band together called The Miseries, so like we go way back. So I've been to Philly a lot, but I knew it wouldn't be so easy to come by much. But I did come by with I just don't have it just right here, but a 3D VR Zoom recorder. So I just said to BL, like, I'd love to hear this place. And
Hmm.
so I took an immersive field recording of the place, walking around with BL. She was telling me stuff. We bumped into some people. It's yeah, we're still like editing. We're still working on the piece, so we've still got a lot of information to sort through. But I just really wanted to get the sound of that place. So we hear footsteps, traffic. We hear BL talking. We have a conversation with a couple other people, and then BL like started to think about ways that we could add in other sounds from the area. So we went to first we went to Somerville, but then we went to a different part, right? So and yeah, so that we could hear the different parts that she's talking about. And also something that's really interesting in her story is that it's kind of that what she's saying about the things going away. You get this feeling of kind of missing, and in the story, which you'll find out when you hear it, you get to sort of maybe understand parts of reasons why things are going away. But we also wanted to try to represent through the music some of the energy of what is there. So to be a bit nerdy, what am I using? Yeah, so I use Zoom H3 VR to record BL and the sounds around Philly for a day, and we rented a car and went down for a day. Then I came back and I've been using Pro Tools, which I've been using for like 20 years, so it's just my go-to. Then I use them like a mini meanie and ARP sequencer, which I did at the NYU IDM. Shout out to IDM as well, Audio Lab at Tandon School of Engineering. They have some really beautiful synthesizer stuff. I was lucky to jam out on them, listening to BL's words and sort of figuring out what kind of sound world I thought would go. I also used a Surge just synth, so just basically really old analog synth there as well. And then I we're kind of cutting them around, slowing stuff down, and doing stuff with that. And then BL, you just sent some stuff as well, which is really necessary. So you could talk about what you have been
Yeah,
sending.
I mean, the only, stuff I've been using is my voice, and I use a little out of tune guitar that I've been playing, and Logic. Logic is the actual program that I choose to use. So I just sent some files over for later to kind of sift through, to kind of catch a vibe, just to capture, like she said, certain energies throughout the course of the experience of the piece inside of the area.
Yeah, and I also transcribe, not exactly, but every 30 seconds of, it's about 30 minutes that we're waiting through of material, maybe 40. And so I kind of transcribed the conversations, and we talked about the different meanings. I have a bit of synesthesia, not totally clearly,
Mhm.
but I didn't really tell Biel about it. But I was like, hey, if you had a color for this sound, could you tell me? And
Leila,
she would
could
say,
you
well, this is
explain
dark
that?
blue or something. So then
Mhm.
it gives me an idea to make a sort of score, a graphic score and text score, like a very quick one, but just to understand, so that I know I'm not going off track when I am kind of adding stuff. And so Biel like sent me some stuff. She's like, oh, I'd like tambourine. So I was like, okay, well, I've got a tambourine. So we're kind of just bouncing back ideas and seeing, and I'm checking with her if it fits the feeling. Yeah.
Well, I have sort of two things to say. Is one is, could you explain to our audience what synesthesia is for anyone who doesn't know
Yeah,
that?
explain it to me too.
And then also
I didn't tell you. So
your
synesthesia is
experience.
when you sort of see music in colors, or it can actually be other. It could be another sense with another sense, but I prefer a common one is music and colors. Not common that so many people have it, but it's just one that you hear about. And for some people, like I know a composer, Andy Kehoe, who's so strong for him that he'll see G sharp and purple. Like it's not like that for me. It's more like major seven, sort of happy is yellow. And interestingly, when I talked to Biel about a certain happier part of a memory, she had the color yellow, and she said like some people think it's negative, some people think it's positive, and I said, oh, I always think of yellow as positive too. So it was a way for me to grade feelings and emotional, because I compose. I don't know. I studied composition at university, so I do analyze things after the fact. But I really do compose through emotion and sound and analysis and these things all together. But emotion's a really big part, especially with a story. I mean, I kind of explained it to BL like it's a bit like a film soundtrack where we have to sort of bring in sounds that amplify or change the meaning, right, BL? Like we're thinking about what, it's not just telling a story, it's also you bringing out more of a story that you want to tell about your story.
And BL, tell us more about your guitar, because I'm a guitarist, so I'm curious. Is it gonna find its way into this love story?
I think it will. I'm pretty sure. I'm not the best guitarist. I'm more like I use it to write songs, or if I have melodies in my brain, and I'm trying to like track it down, I do that. So it's always like freestyle. It's always just how I'm feeling at the time. Um, so I think that it will make its way because it feels homey. It
Mm.
feels um retro at times. It feels um even like one of them that I sent, like I think it feels a little more peace and tranquility, like
Mm.
so it just was a range of different emotions that however I was feeling when I was doing it. Or there's some that feel a little more rhythmic, and energetic. It just depended on what I guess what feeling I was trying to project through the piece. But I definitely wasn't trying to make it perfect, because that's one thing Somerville is not. It's not perfect.
BL,
Yeah,
I'm
and
also
I really think it's interesting because I was going to ask her, like, oh, when you said tambourine, what rhythm would you like? But then she sent me this rhythm track of a guitar. So I was like, oh, cool, I can play along with that. So it's often, I don't know if it's Frank Zappa really said it, it's attributed to him, like talking about music as like dancing about architecture. But I think it's so much easier if she sends me a track and I can like play tambourine than if we try and describe to each other what it would be like. So yeah.
so BL, I'm curious. I know under these conditions you have to record at home. Do you normally record in a home studio?
No, I record to hear like what something sounds like, but I'm no one's engineer. I have, a great engineer by the name of Bear One, who actually he has engineered like a lot of classic rap albums, like Young Jeezy's first album, a lot of Rockefeller stuff, in early ages. So, I love him. So I'm not trying to take his job. But when I, want to hear something back and hear if I want to write track about something, I'll definitely come in my home studio, record something, just to hear it back, or let my son play around, just so maybe I can get a little bit better. But engineering is not my, I'm definitely a songwriter at heart, number one.
Can you tell us too about like your process of writing lyrics? What just like create a setting for
Mhm.
us. Do you do it in
So
your head? Do you do it on a pad, on a computer?
yeah. So I was a writer on paper for a majority of my life. Um Probably maybe about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I finally started kind of writing into like the phone. Um the process can be different depending on the mood. So I can come up with a melody first, then I can hum that into a voice recorder, and then I can plug the words in later. Or I can come up with the words first and then, track down the melody later. I can come up with a song without a beat and then, get my producer Trap Lane, and we'll work around that, and we'll, create a beat on top of that. Or I can get a beat that makes me feel something and I write then. I really don't have a standard practice of writing because I've learned that songs can take you, depending on your starting point, a song could take you a million different ways. But if you start the same way, 9 times out of 10, you'll kind of have the same structure every time you write. And that's not something that I want to do. I always want to, kind of come from different angles each opportunity that I get. So I use my starting points at different places. So I might start from a hook. I might start from a bridge. I might start from a verse. I might start no beat, with melody, and I just switch it up just to keep things so I won't get bored. I've been writing them for over 20 years. So I got to keep my life exciting.
And how did it work with the two of you? Were you trading electronic files back and forth? Tell us about that process.
Yeah, so we have a shared drive. So basically, she can go in, I can go in, we meet weekly, and I'm gonna let you take this one, Leila, but we just go in, we listen, we meet up. Yo, what you think about 18 seconds in, this happens. I was thinking this, and I was thinking it can go with this sound. I think that'd be really cool. Then Layla get into her geeky shit, excuse my language, and break it down even further. But yeah, we just kind of vibe off of the material that we have.
Excellent. Well, I know our audience are super excited about this event, so we can't wait to hear what you both have come up with. And because this is a Valentine's Day themed event, I can't resist and must ask you, what are you both doing for Valentine's Day?
Layla, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
I know. It's funny because I'm from New Zealand, and it's a bit like we're kind of like, I don't know. I feel like there's a kind of anti-commercialist holiday thing, so it's cute in New Zealand, but usually it's pretty low key. Maybe you'll go for dinner with your partner or something. So maybe I'll do something that like that with my boyfriend. But I actually, for as part of my childhood, I had like an African American stepdad who would like buy my mom big like things of like. I remember this chocolate box that was a big heart with like pink chocolates inside or something. And my mom is quite cynical, so she's like, I don't know. So we're not I don't know. I'm really not the most sentimental in that way. I'm a very loving, caring person, but when it comes to kind of commercial holidays, not so much. But I like to do something meaningful, like write a card or like go, but I make it or like go on a date. So, but if I tell you, Thomas, then my boyfriend will know. So I can't tell you in advance.
BL, what about you?
And I will probably make my son my Valentine. And, he's 15. He's at an age where I feel like I have to start kind of showing him how to be treated so he can know how to treat his lady. So I'm probably going to make him my Valentine, take him out, maybe take him to go get his nails done, his feet done, maybe get him a massage at the spa or something. I don't know. I've been with my wife for like 13 years almost. So we don't, Valentine's Day just doesn't exist. And my birthday is like a couple days before that. So I really don't have any incentive for Valentine's Day in my marriage. But so I probably will definitely be spending it with my child.
So it's more like a BL love festival, like a birthday to Valentine's. And you say
No,
you're going to Cancun too. I feel like jealous.
yeah, so I'm going to Cancun. Like I'll be back like maybe 8 days before Valentine's Day. But because my birthday is so soon, it's like my wife thinks she gets a pass for Valentine's Day. So it's one of those. So because of that is why I'll probably make my son my Valentine this year. That way I won't feel slighted.
Well, thank you both. And thank you for giving us this great Valentine. And Leila, just like you said, doing something meaningful. We're so looking forward to this meaningful piece from the both of you.
Yeah, we really like to thank you for the opportunity for doing this piece, for working together. this I've been, working remotely with BL on the board of Jim Crow, but I hadn't ever met her before. And of course, we wore masks and we were safely distanced, but we got to walk the streets of Philly to do this, and it was really exciting to finally meet her. And so, thanks for giving me the opportunity to collaborate with BL. It's been really cool.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you very much, Layla, for even thinking of me to do the piece. I appreciate it. And I just want to, close out by saying, love is very complex, So love is not always, some you got tough love, you got loss, you got grief, you got all kinds of stuff that comes with love. So hopefully you guys are, listen to this and be able to understand my complicated love for the neighborhood of Germantown.
We'll do our best. Thank you both very much. It's great to
Together
have
for
you.
new music. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, thank you very much.